Hey gang, Andrew here with another lens review slash photo adventure, this time with the much anticipated FUJIFILM 50mm 1.0, 1 point nothing. Now, I have to be honest with you that I pre-ordered this lens months ago, back when I thought I would have some events to shoot with it to see how it stacked up against my favorite event photography lens, the 56mm 1.2. But of course, we find ourselves in a different world these days, and I completely forgot that I pre-ordered this, or I would have canceled it, because as much as I like to experiment with lenses, to purchase a lens like this, I have to have a reason to justify it. It needs to justify its own existence in my lens kit. And but it's here, so let's take advantage of the fact that it's here and make a video while I still have it. Fully intending not to keep it in, just to make sure that's all out there. Although if it surprises me and I feel like I have to have it in my life, well, I'm not completely against that option. But like I said, here it is, and it looks real cool, so let's make the most of it and take it on a photo adventure. Like most of my photo adventures though, this is not going to be a quick video of fast facts, because for me it's much more about the photography and the journey than it is about a bunch of metal and glass. So if that's not your thing, feel free to peruse any one of the dozens of other channels who have done lens breakdowns on this guy. I promise that I will not be offended. But for everyone else, let me tell you what we're gonna do. Well, we have not had much in the way of photo jobs lately. For some people, the real need for photography does go on, and this includes certain charities which depend on good photography, and the trip that I'm about to take is prompted by one of these. Some of you know that Danae and I have worked really hard to participate in many nonprofits and service opportunities which include photography, and last year we started a photo contest called Do Good With Your Camera to try to inspire others, aka all of you, to get your gear out and do some good with it in the world. We really strive to practice what we preach here though, and tonight I have an opportunity to take some photos of a boy for the Utah Heart Gallery. This is a gallery that's, it's not just in Utah, we see this in many states where the foster system works with local professional portrait photographers to provide high quality portraits, prints of children in need of adoption. In a typical year, this gallery of prints will travel around a state and garner local news and media coverage and get the community to notice and to highlight these beautiful kids in need of forever homes. But this year there will not be a physical gallery, but the event must go on virtually, and to that end I'll be photographing Xander, who is in a community a bit far away from our home here, somewhere that I've never photographed in fact. So I've picked a location on Google Earth that hopefully will work out, and hopefully we'll be able to get some good photos for that gallery that Xander can be proud of. To be clear, I'm not telling you all this as a way to toot my own horn. I'm just really wanting to bring awareness to the fact that charities need good photography to succeed, and all of us hobbyists or pros have an opportunity to contribute to good causes. So with all that said, I will be announcing another Do Good With Your Camera contest here in a week or so. So get ready for that. Start prepping if you haven't yet, and figure out how you can do some good with your gear and your skills. We've got some awesome prizes lined up from some generous brands, including a Fujifilm X100V that we'll be giving away to help give you guys, all of us, that extra little kick to do some good. So anyway, that's where I'm headed. One of my boys will be going with me, and we'll be spending the night in a hotel. And then tomorrow we've got some other photo adventures planned, so let's get on the road. But before we do, one last piece of business. Let's take a moment to thank our gracious sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare offers meaningful creative education memberships to its community with a deep library of content and with the support of fellow creatives. All this with the intent to empower you to accomplish real growth. And sure, there's plenty of great content relating to photography and videography on Skillshare, but Danae and I have also found classes that have helped us in most every other creative endeavor we are involved in. Everything from unlocking greater creative confidence to a class I recently took about how to play guitar more like Jimi Hendrix Hendricks. Skillshare's content is curated specifically for learning with succinct and to-the-point lessons that work well with our busy lives. There are no ads, and they are always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you for less than $10 a month. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the video description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, so check it out. Don't wait, start growing your creativity now. Okay, we are now at the hotel that we reserved for the night. We just did our photo shoot with Xander for the Heart Gallery. What a nice guy, and I hope that can do some good for him. I did shoot with the 1.0, the 50-1.0, like I said I was going to. You know, it's funny, we pulled up to the location, and it's really hard to pick a location on Google Earth, Google Maps, whatever, which is what I did, Street View. I thought the location I picked would be a good one, but you just never know. Going in blind, it turned out they had all this annoying Halloween decor, so I couldn't shoot at the archway that I thought was beautiful and I was excited to, but it's okay. We found another location that worked pretty well, and I felt like this lens did great. That's, you know, where it performed really well. It was a portraiture lens, one of the places that it performs well. So tomorrow we're gonna be doing some more testing of this lens. Got 3 events planned. The first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. our time is a member call. For those of you who are channel members, you'll know this will be old news. You will have already had that member call with us by now, by the time you watch this. And for everyone else, I would encourage you to join so that you can be part of those in the future. After that, I have plans to do with my son. We're gonna go do some rural landscape, rural decay photography, which I love, and see how this does in those settings. I'm sure it'll do great. I'm sure it'll do fine, but give you some examples of what I can get in real world, tell you a little bit more about it. But then we're gonna do some mountain biking and put this through its paces in a place where I really worry about it performing well, and that's with its autofocus. Now again, I haven't watched any reviews, I haven't read anything about this lens. I probably should have from a responsible reviewer standpoint, but I haven't really wanted to. I just want to come at you from my unfiltered reactions to shooting this for the first time. So I'm gonna see how it does photographing my son in sort of an action scenario. So that'll be fun and exciting, and I will catch you tomorrow when we're ready to do all that. Good morning. We have now been photographing for about a half hour in Cedar City, Utah. Lots of great urban decay scenery for us to pick up on this beautiful small town. I'm here with Alex. Alex is shooting. What are you shooting with? Show him what you got. That's the X100S. So we found this little pinstriping shop. We're gonna do a little bit of photos around here. We see some old vehicles and some pretty sights, and then there's a trailer park behind with some other cool stuff. But my first impressions of this is, man, it sure is great for what I like to shoot, which is kind of at a distance, rural architecture with that nice compression that we can get at this, what is this, like a 75mm focal length. Works out well, and sometimes I'm gonna stitch together some panoramics as well with this, just handheld. To get, because you know, that tight focal length, sometimes it's hard to get all the architecture, of course. So that is why, since I'm only shooting with this, I will stitch some together as well. But we get to one of the limitations of this lens here at this place, and that is, you probably, a lot of you who have followed me for a while, you know the way I shoot and what I like. You probably know what I'm gonna say. Close focus limitations. I don't actually know, because I haven't looked at the spec, what the maximum reproduction ratio is of this camera, but it's not impressive, it's not great. And when you want to maximize that bokeh with objects that are close, if you really are out after the shallowest of depths of field, close focus is a limitation when it comes to that of this camera.
And so for me, that's a pretty big negative. I can't get as close to the details of these trucks as I would like to. Aside from that, I'm enjoying it. I'll show you now the photos we're able to get this morning, our rural decay photography, and then we'll take it mountain biking.
While I'm sure that there will be some people in the comments claiming that there are other reasons why this lens makes sense for everyday photography, let's be honest with ourselves, there's really only one reason you buy a lens like this, and that's if you're shallow. I didn't mean that. I mean if you want shallow depth of field. There's really only one other 50mm 1.0 autofocus lens in existence, the one made by Canon for full frame cameras, and though this one is for APS-C, it does also do a great job at what it was designed to do, obliterating backgrounds. But that does come at a price, and the biggest cost I noticed was serious chromatic aberration at wide apertures. For me, that's not really an issue for rural decay work that I do, but for my event work, yeah, that might actually be an issue. Hard to say without an event to shoot it at. But in these photos, you can see some major purple in the foreground, out of focus areas, and green in the background fringes. It's a lot, and it's a lot more than I expected. The other expense is sharpness. Wide open, it's nothing to write home about, and while I'm not going to bother doing pixel peeping comparisons, I'm willing to bet that the 50mm f2 will give you more sharpness at apertures plus f2, but I think we can all agree that that's not why you get a lens like this, but more on that in a bit.
One other limitation, I don't know if it's a huge limitation necessarily, but one other thing that I think is worth mentioning about shooting with this lens, especially if you're shooting it at wide open at f1.0, if you're in sunny 16 conditions, your shutter speed won't be high enough. 8,000th of a second is not a fast enough shutter speed at sunny 16 to be shooting at a 1.0 aperture. So you either need an ND filter, but probably what the better solution is for photography anyway, is to turn on the electronic shutter. If you're shooting with the X-T4, I don't know what it is with other cameras, I'm shooting on the X-T4 right now, it will go up to 32,000th of a second shutter speed, which is insane. I didn't even realize it went that high, which is plenty to work with to be able to get properly exposed shots in sunny 16 with a 1.0 aperture. So that's what I've done. Had to switch on the electronic shutter. Not my favorite way to shoot, and but it's fine for that. If you're shooting at that high shutter speeds, works great. So anyway, just a gotcha or something to notice. Now, one thing I don't like about shooting electronic and the way that the Fuji interface works, I like using that dial except when I'm using electronic shutter, because the dial only goes up to 1/8,000th of a second, so you have to use the front dial. It might be better just to permanently switch. If you're gonna be shooting electronically outside with this, just switch and just use that front dial, or I guess the back dial, I can't remember which is which, because I don't use it very often, to shoot in electronic mode. Anyway, enough on that. Hopefully you enjoyed those shots. Let's go now to some action photography and do some mountain biking. Okay, my friends, it is time to get my mask on here in this parking lot. It is time to go mountain biking, and the trail that this guy wanted to go on is actually, it's a pretty brutal trail to try to pack a massive it's not a massive camera, but the lens is pretty large. To get that protected sufficiently, the only bag I have is this massive thing. So I've got quite the bulk that I've got to hike up that thing. It's a huge mountain, but I'm up for it, and it's worth it to get some good shots. So yeah, you ready to go, buddy?
Yeah.
He's cold. Let's get these bikes off and get going. I am not gonna lie, it's really tough with this massive backpack. There's not even much in it, but I feel like it's triple what I'm used to carrying, so if not more. And we're not even very high yet. It's okay though. We can do this.
Look, I realize that probably very few of you are looking at this lens for sports or action photography, so this is probably pushing things a bit further than you normally push a lens like this, but I'm all about pushing lenses to their limits so that you don't have to. And as you can see from these action shots, I mean, it struggles wide open. It struggles to acquire focus, struggles to keep focus, and when it seems to have focus, we're not quite nailing the eyes. And that's not really a big surprise. You also see that chromatic aberration again, creeping in to really distract the eye, along with just general lack of sharpness wide open. And even when we look at shots taken at a more manageable f2.8, while we get things sharper and less chromatic aberration, we still miss consistency in focus. If that's what you need, get something built for it that does a lot better, like the 50-140mm 2.8 zoom lens. And yet, I have some shots I really love, so let's keep things in perspective. Are there better lenses and even better systems for autofocus? Of course. But is this sufficient for a dad and a son mountain biking? You bet. Probably the bigger question is, how well does it acquire focus in a portrait situation?
How will it do as a portrait camera? A little bit more. I know we did some already, but I'm gonna take some portraits here of Alex, some mountain biker headshots for his Strava page.
And here is where we get to probably what is the most concerning thing about this lens. I fully expected to see chromatic aberration with it at f1. It's not realistic to expect otherwise. I fully expected this lens to be on the soft side. However, it struggles to acquire focus on the eye. And there's really no mincing words here. This is gonna be an issue for portrait photographers who are looking at this lens to take them to the next level. Fujifilm's eye focus is just not there yet, and the problem is exacerbated when you are shooting with a razor-thin depth of field. There is so little margin for error that this lens really brings out the weaknesses that Fujifilm has in the area of auto eye focus. And while I've heard that we can expect some updated firmware to improve things even further in the future from Fujifilm, let's be realistic. We're probably not gonna see eye detect autofocus like we're seeing from Canon or Sony from Fuji. And so for me, who am here now back again in the studio, having looked at all those photos, while I do appreciate what this lens is capable of and what sort of creativity it can unlock for those photographers who crave the blur, I can appreciate that it's really not as big as I thought it would be. Totally manageable, very similar to other Fujifilm zoom lenses that I'm used to shooting with. It also has no noticeable flaring that I see. I thought it would have flaring issues, but there isn't. And the quality of bokeh, the even fall off, the shallow depth of field, all as advertised. There's certainly a lot to like about the lens. But if portraiture is your thing, I can't actually feel good recommending this lens to you unless you have all the time you need to ensure you've nailed focus on the eye in that shoot. If you shoot in a studio and you're tethered, where you can really see if that eye has been nailed, then yes, I mean, you may like this lens. Though as much as it pains me to say it, why not make life easier on yourself and shoot with this system with eye detect autofocus that works more reliably in full frame land, that will give you the same equivalent depth of field with fast aperture portrait lenses that are readily available or if you can shoot at f1.2, the 56-1.2 it's not perfect either, but still I get a lot of keepers in portrait situation, a lot more with that lens than what I've seen with this lens so far. Or even the 50mm f2, I'm completely satisfied with the depth of field that can provide personally, and I'm in love with how small it is and its price. Not to mention that it has much closer focusing ability than both the 56-1.2 and the 50mm 1.0. In short, my conclusion, harsh though it is, I just don't see a real compelling reason for this lens. To me, it makes sense from a business perspective for Fujifilm to sell a lens like this because I know a lot of you guys want it. People are willing to spend money for incremental decreases in aperture numbers. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense practically in any circumstance that I envision myself shooting in, or most of you guys. On the other hand, it's a lot of fun to go bokeh hunting, and this lens really is your best bet if that's what you want to do and you shoot Fujifilm. Most photographers go through that phase, and I wouldn't hold it against any of you for lusting after this lens for that reason. For me personally, I can't keep this lens, though it's been fun to shoot with for a bit. I actually love this shot that I got of my kids with some of our best friends' kids after not being able to see each other for months and months. I love that I was able to capture this group with that shallow depth of field because they were all on the same focal plane. This is a priceless moment for me, and even maybe makes the fact that I'm losing money on having to resell this lens worth it for that moment alone. But that's all I've got for you guys. What a fun video this has been to make. Again, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring it. Do check out their link below, and I do want to thank you guys for watching, and I want to encourage you all to go out and do some good with your cameras, and we will talk to you again real soon.